Aveline was never meant to step into a king's chambers. She was temporary staff 3 days, then gone. But on her final night, she was summoned. They said no woman could endure Alpha King Russell Cross. They said his curse lay below the belt, that every noble bride fled in tears or shame. Yet, when Aveline stood before him, she didn't see a curse. She saw a man carved hollow by rejection. That night, she chose him. By dawn, she vanished, leaving only her scent and a note of apology. Now the most powerful alpha in the realm abandons his throne to hunt her across villages and forests, unraveling his kingdom to find the Omega who touched him without fear, stayed without flinching, and fled believing love would destroy them both. They called him Alpha King Russell Cross. Not behind his back, never behind his back. To his face, with proper titles and formal bows, but in the corridors, in the chambers where silk rustled and wine flowed freely, they called him something else entirely, the Cursed King. Not cursed with madness, not cursed with cruelty or a temper that burned cities. No, Russell Cross was cursed with something the nobility found far more amusing to discuss over their evening meals. He was cursed below the belt. Russell stood at the window of his private study, watching snow settle over the courtyard. Behind him, the fire crackled. Before him, the kingdom stretched vast and cold. Somewhere in that kingdom, people whispered his name with pity disguised as scandal. He was 32 years old. He had ruled for 8 years. He had won 3 territorial wars. He had negotiated peace treaties that historians would study for generations. But he had no mate, no heir, no one who stayed. The door opened without a knock. Only one person in the castle had that privilege, Your Majesty. Clyde Rufus entered, his advisor's robes sweeping the stone floor. His face carried the same carefully neutral expression it always did. Lady Pamela Voss has requested an audience. Russell didn't turn from the window. Tell her I'm occupied. She's quite insistent. Then tell her I'm unavailable. Clyde hesitated. Russell heard it in the pause, in the shuffle of fabric. She wishes to apologize for her hasty departure last month. Now Russell did turn, slowly. His eyes, the deep amber that marked him as Alpha, settled on his advisor. Does she? It wasn't a question. Clyde cleared his throat. She claimed she was unprepared, that she reacted poorly, that given another chance. No, Your Majesty. The council grows concerned. 3 years without a mate declaration. The noble families are beginning to question. Let them question. Russell moved away from the window, his boots heavy on stone. Send Lady Pamela my regards and a generous gift for her troubles. But no audience. Clyde bowed and retreated. Russell stood alone in his study, surrounded by maps and treaties and the weight of a crown that sat heavier each year. Pamela Voss had lasted 2 hours in his chambers before fleeing in tears. Before her, there had been Miranda Finch. Beautiful, ambitious Miranda, daughter of a shipping magnate, who had promised him children and prosperity and a future as bright as summer. She had lasted 1 hour. Before Miranda, there had been Lydia Bonner, Lydia of the sharp wit and sharper tongue, who had sworn nothing could shock her, that she was made of sterner stuff than those delicate flowers who wilted at a man's natural form. Lydia had lasted 30 minutes. Russell moved to his desk, poured himself a drink he wouldn't finish. The liquor burned going down, but it didn't burn away the memory. The way Lydia's face had changed. The way her confidence had crumbled into something between horror and pity. She had tried to hide it. They all tried to hide it. But Russell had lived his entire adult life reading the subtle shifts in expression that meant rejection was coming. I'm sorry, Lydia had whispered, backing toward the door, her dress half unlaced. I can't. I thought I could, but I can't. She had left the castle by dawn. The rumors had spread by noon. Now, 3 years later, the whispers had solidified into certainty. Alpha King Russell Cross was too much, too large, too overwhelming in the one way that mattered when it came to producing heirs. Every noblewoman knew. Every family had been warned by the families before them. Approach the Alpha King with caution. Expect generosity, expect power, expect political advantage, but don't expect to survive his bed. Russell set down his glass with more force than necessary. He was not a monster. He had never forced himself on anyone. He gave every woman an exit, a choice, a way to leave with dignity intact. He controlled himself with an iron will that would have impressed his enemies if they knew half of what he restrained. But control didn't matter when your body betrayed you before you even began. The fire popped. Russell stared into the flames and wondered, not for the first time, if he should simply accept what everyone else already knew. He would rule alone. He would die alone. The bloodline would end with him. A knock interrupted his thoughts. Different from Clyde's knock. Softer. Enter. The door opened to reveal a young woman Russell didn't recognize. She wore the plain gray dress of castle staff, her dark hair pulled back in a practical braid. She carried a basket of fresh linens and kept her eyes lowered. "Pardon the intrusion, Your Majesty. I'm here to change the bedding in the West Wing chambers." Russell frowned. "At this hour? Deborah Haskins asked me to finish before the evening meal. There's been a winter fever spreading through the lower villages. She's brought in extra hands to help with the sick." The young woman glanced up briefly, then away. "I'm temporary staff. I'll be gone in 3 days." Something about her scent caught Russell's attention. Not perfume, not the heavy florals the noble women wore. Something simpler. Lavender and winter air and something underneath he couldn't quite name. "Your name," he said. She hesitated. "Aveline, Your Majesty." "Aveline," he tested it. "No family name? Just Aveline, an omega with no lineage worth declaring." Russell knew the type. Commoners who worked hard, kept their heads down, survived on the edges of power without ever expecting to touch it. She wouldn't have heard the rumors. Or if she had, she wouldn't have understood what they meant. "The West Wing is being renovated," Russell said. "Use the East Chambers tonight." "Of course, Your Majesty." Aveline bowed and turned to leave. "Aveline?" She stopped. Russell didn't know why he spoke again. Didn't know what impulse drove the words. "Thank you for coming to help with the fever outbreak." She looked at him then. Really looked. Her eyes were gray, like morning fog over the mountains. "It's the right thing to do." Then she was gone. And Russell was alone again with his fire and his whiskey and the weight of a reputation he couldn't escape. He didn't think about her again until 3 nights later when Deborah Haskins appeared at his door, her healer's bag in hand and worry creasing her face. "Your Majesty, I apologize for the intrusion. I know the hour is late." Russell set aside the treaty he'd been reviewing. "What's wrong?" "It's the fever. It's spread to the castle staff. I've quarantined 6 people so far, but I'm running low on supplies and hands to help." Deborah twisted her bag's strap. "I hate to ask, but I have a girl, Aveline, who's been helping me. She's got steady hands and a calm head. I need her to stay another week, but she's sleeping in the servants' quarters and that's where the fever is spreading. I need somewhere isolated to house her." Russell's mind moved quickly. "The tower rooms, those haven't been used in years. They're clean, private, far enough from the outbreak." He paused. "Or she can use the spare chamber in my quarters." Deborah's eyes widened slightly. Russell kept his expression neutral. "I'm not suggesting anything improper. The royal wing has extra rooms that go unused. She would have her own space, her own entrance. She would be safe from infection, and close enough to help you quickly if needed." It made logical sense. It was practical. It had nothing to do with the way Aveline had looked at him without fear, without pity, without anything except simple human acknowledgement. Deborah considered, then nodded. "If you're certain, Your Majesty, it would help tremendously. Send her tonight. I'll inform the guards." After Deborah left, Russell stood at his window again, watching snow fall in the darkness. He told himself it was practical. He told himself it meant nothing. He told himself he wasn't hoping for something he'd stopped believing in years ago. But when Aveline arrived an hour later, escorted by guards to the spare chamber 3 doors down from his own, Russell lay awake in his bed and caught the faint trace of her scent through the stone walls. Lavender and winter air and something underneath he still couldn't name, something that made his wolf go still. 2 days passed. Russell saw Aveline in glimpses. She moved through the royal wing like a ghost, silent and efficient, always carrying supplies for Deborah or linens for the sick. She never lingered. She never asked for anything. On the third night, Russell found her sitting in the corridor outside his study, her back against the stone wall, her eyes closed. "Are you unwell?" he asked. Aveline startled, eyes snapping open. She scrambled to her feet. "Your Majesty, I'm sorry. I just needed a moment to rest. Deborah has me running." "Sit." She sat. Russell lowered himself to the floor across from her. Not close, not threatening, just near enough to speak quietly. "You're exhausted." "I'm fine. You're swaying where you sit." Aveline smiled faintly. "Maybe a little tired." They sat in silence. The castle creaked around them, settling into night. Somewhere distant, a guard called the hour. "Why do you do this?" Russell asked. "You're temporary staff. You could leave. Go back to wherever you came from before the fever reaches you." Aveline pulled her knees to her chest. "My mother died from a fever like this when I was young. No one came to help. No healers, no medicine, nothing. Just us, watching her fade." She rested her chin on her knees. "I told myself if I ever had the chance to help someone else's mother, someone else's child, I would. Even if it's hard, even if I'm tired." Russell felt something shift in his chest. Something old and scarred and almost forgotten. "I'm sorry about your mother." "Thank you." Aveline glanced at him. "The rumors say you're a good king. Fair, strong. They say you won wars to protect people, not conquer them. They say many things about me. I've heard some of the other things too." Russell tensed. Aveline kept her eyes on the far wall. "I don't listen much to rumors. People talk because it makes them feel important, like they know secrets that make them better than everyone else." She shrugged. "I prefer to see for myself." "And what do you see?" She turned her head, met his gaze directly. "I see a man who sits on cold stone floors, so tired staff don't feel uncomfortable. I see a king who approved extra rations for the quarantine without being asked. I see someone who carries weight alone." Russell couldn't breathe. Aveline stood, brushed dust from her dress. "I should sleep. Deborah needs me early tomorrow." "Aveline." She paused at the corner, looked back. Russell didn't know what he wanted to say, didn't know how to put words to the strange, fragile thing unfolding in his chest. "Sleep well," he managed. She smiled, small, genuine, gone too quickly. "You too, Your Majesty." He watched her disappear down the corridor toward her temporary chamber. He sat on the cold stone floor long after she'd gone, feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. The next night, Russell couldn't focus on the budget reports spread across his desk. Numbers blurred together. Trade agreements held no interest. His mind kept wandering 3 doors down, where Aveline was presumably sleeping after another long day helping Deborah fight the fever. Near midnight, a soft knock broke his concentration. "Come in." Aveline entered hesitantly. She wore a simple nightdress covered by a shawl, her hair loose around her shoulders. "I'm sorry to disturb you. I saw light under your door." "You're not disturbing me." Russell set down his pen. "Can't sleep? Too quiet." "I'm used to the servants' quarters where there's always someone snoring or talking in their sleep." She moved closer to the fire. "This wing feels empty. It usually is. Just me." Aveline looked at him with those fog-gray eyes. "Doesn't that get lonely?" No one had ever asked him that. Not directly. Not with genuine curiosity instead of political maneuvering. "Yes," Russell admitted. "It does." She moved to the chair across from his desk, sat without asking permission. The informality should have bothered him. Instead, it felt like breathing after holding his breath underwater. "Tell me something true," Aveline said suddenly. "What?" Something true. Something you don't tell other people. She pulled her shawl tighter. I spent all day watching people die. I'm tired of polite lies. I want something real. Russell leaned back in his chair. Studied this strange Omega who sat in his study past midnight asking for truth. I'm afraid, he said quietly. I'm afraid I'll rule this kingdom perfectly, win every battle, sign every treaty, and die having never mattered to anyone beyond what I could give them politically. Aveline didn't flinch, didn't offer empty comfort. She just nodded. That sounds terrible. It is. My truth? She traced patterns on the chair's armrest. I'm afraid I'll spend my whole life helping everyone else and disappear without anyone noticing I was gone, like my mother. She was kind and good and she died alone, and within a year it was like she never existed. Russell felt that shift in his chest again, stronger now, more insistent. I would notice, he said, if you disappeared. Aveline's hand stilled. She looked up, something vulnerable flickering across her face. You don't know me. I know enough. The fire crackled between them. The castle held its breath. It's late, Aveline whispered. I should go, but she didn't move. Neither did Russell. Stay, he said. Not an order, a request. Just a while longer. Talk to me about anything. Nothing. I don't care. Just stay. So she stayed. They talked until the fire burned low. About small things. Childhood memories. Favorite seasons. Books they'd read. Aveline told him about growing up in a village so small it didn't have a name, just a number on a map. Russell told her about learning to control his wolf, about the years of training that felt like breaking himself apart and reassembling the pieces wrong. When the fire finally died to embers, Aveline stood. Tomorrow comes early. Russell rose as well. They stood close now, separated by less than an arm's length. Thank you, he said, for this, for treating me like a person instead of a title. Aveline reached out, hesitated, then gently touched his hand. Just her fingertips against his knuckles. Brief, warm. You are a person, Russell. Anyone who can't see that is blind. She used his name, not his title, just his name. Then she was gone, and Russell stood alone in his study, staring at his hand where her fingertips had rested, feeling something dangerous and desperate taking root in his chest. He had been rejected by noble women who came prepared with political strategies and family expectations. But Aveline hadn't come prepared at all. She hadn't come seeking anything, and that made her more dangerous than any of them. Hey, quick question, how are you feeling today? Thank you so much for being here. It really means the world to me. If this story of Aveline, the Omega with no lineage, who was told she'd never survive a king's bed, who chose him anyway despite the whispers and threats, and who stood beside him as he knelt before his entire court moved you, please hit that subscribe button for Ariel Romance Library, smash the like, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. It helps more than you know. Alright, thank you. Now let's get back to what happens when an alpha king hunts the one woman who saw past his curse, chose him without fear, and fled, believing love would destroy them both, only to discover some bonds are worth burning kingdoms to protect. The fever broke on the 6th day. Deborah Haskins emerged from the quarantine wing, looking like she'd aged a decade, but her smile was genuine when she found Russell in the throne room reviewing petitions. We lost 3, she said quietly, but we saved 11. Without your resources, Your Majesty, without the extra help, we would have lost them all. Russell stood from his throne. The 3 who died. Do their families need anything? They'll need help with burial costs, food for the mourning period. See to it. Whatever they need. He paused. And the girl, Aveline, she helped you the entire time? Never stopped, never complained. Deborah's expression softened. She's special, that one. Wasted as temporary staff. I asked if she'd consider staying on permanently as my assistant, but she says she needs to move on. Has family obligations elsewhere? Or something like that. Russell felt cold despite the fire roaring in the hearth. When does she leave? Tonight, she said. Wants to be on the road before dawn tomorrow. I see. Deborah studied him with the shrewd eyes of someone who delivered half the babies in the kingdom and knew more secrets than the crown's spy master. If I may speak freely, Your Majesty, you always do. That girl looks at you different than the noble ladies do. Just thought you should know. Then Deborah left, and Russell stood alone in his throne room, surrounded by empty chairs and cold stone, and the sudden, crushing realization that Aveline would be gone by morning. He told himself it didn't matter. He told himself 6 days of midnight conversations didn't mean anything. He told himself he had no right to ask her to stay, but when evening fell and he returned to his chambers, he found himself standing outside her door, his hand raised to knock, his heart pounding harder than it had in any battle. He knocked. Silence, then soft footsteps, and the door opened. Aveline stood in her traveling clothes, a small bag packed beside her bed. She'd been crying. Her eyes were red, but she smiled when she saw him. Your Majesty, don't, Russell said roughly. Don't call me that. Not tonight. Her smile faded into something more honest, more painful. Russell, you're leaving. I have to. Why? Because staying would be foolish. Aveline stepped back, let him enter. The room was already empty of her presence, cleaned and ready for the next temporary occupant. These 6 days were borrowed time. I'm not noble. I'm not educated. I'm nobody. You're the Alpha King. We both know how this ends if I stay. How does it end? With me humiliated and you pitied. With rumors that are already cruel, becoming vicious. With me pretending I didn't. She stopped, turned away. It doesn't matter. Russell moved closer. His wolf strained against his control, desperate to catch her scent, to close the distance, to keep her here by any means necessary. He shoved the wolf down, hard. Didn't what? He asked quietly. Aveline's shoulders shook. Didn't fall for you. Just a little. Just enough to make leaving hurt. The admission hung between them like a sword suspended by thread. Russell's control, iron strong for years, wavered. I could command you to stay. You could. Aveline turned back to face him. But you won't, because you're good. And good men don't cage birds just because they want them to sing. What if the bird wants to stay? Then the bird is foolish. She moved toward him, reached up, touched his face, her palm against his jaw, warm, gentle. I heard them talking today, the servants. They don't think I understand, but I do. They warned me, told me to leave before you noticed me too much, before you looked at me the way you looked at the noble ladies who came and went. Russell's jaw clenched under her touch. I never looked at them the way I look at you. They told me about Lydia Bonner, Miranda Finch, Pamela Voss. They told me, Aveline's voice dropped to a whisper. They told me what you are, what you're built like, why no woman stays. Shame, hot and familiar, flooded Russell's chest. He pulled back. Then you understand why this is impossible. I understand why you think it is. He stared at her. What? Aveline let her hand fall. I'm not noble, Russell. I don't come with expectations or political requirements. I don't need you to be anything except honest. She took a shaky breath. The servants talk like you're cursed, like you're dangerous. But all I see is a man who's been rejected so many times he's forgotten anyone might actually want him. You don't know what you're saying. I know exactly what I'm saying. She moved closer, close enough that her scent wrapped around him. Lavender and winter air, and underneath it all, the sweet, devastating scent of an Omega who wasn't afraid. I'm saying I see you, all of you, and I'm not running. Russell's control shattered. He kissed her like a drowning man finding air, desperate, almost violent in its intensity, then immediately pulling back, horrified at his own lack of restraint. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. Aveline grabbed his shirt, pulled him back down, kissed him again, softer this time. A choice, not a reaction. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she whispered against his mouth, I'm not them. I'm not fragile. I'm not noble. I'm just me. And I'm choosing this. I'm choosing you, Aveline. Show me. She stepped back, held his gaze. Show me what they ran from. Let me decide for myself if I'm brave enough. Every instinct screamed at Russell to refuse, to protect her from himself, to send her away before he ruined this the way he'd ruined everything else. But she was looking at him with clear eyes and steady hands, and for the first time in his life, someone was offering him choice instead of obligation. If you want to stop, he said carefully. At any point you tell me. You say stop, and I stop. Immediately. No questions, no consequences. You can leave with whatever resources you need, and I will never mention this again. I understand. I'm serious, Aveline. I'm not. He struggled for words. I'm not easy. It's not simple. The others weren't weak or fragile. They were just unprepared for. Russell. She touched his chest, right over his racing heart. Stop apologizing for existing. Show me. So he did, slowly. So slowly it nearly killed him. He let her see him, let her understand what the others had fled from. Let her make the choice with full knowledge instead of surprised horror. Aveline didn't run. She studied him with calm curiosity. Not fear. Not disgust. Just careful assessment. Oh, she breathed. They weren't exaggerating. Russell tensed, waiting for the rejection, preparing for it. Instead, Aveline looked up at him and smiled. Well, we'll have to be creative. Something in Russell's chest cracked open. Something that had been locked down for years, protected behind iron walls and bitter acceptance. You're not afraid. I'm terrified, she admitted. But not of you, of this, of how much I want this to work, of what happens after. She reached for him, but fear without trying is just cowardice. So, let's try. They tried. Aveline guided his hands, showed him where to touch, how to adjust. She spoke quietly, honestly, telling him what worked and what didn't. There was no shame in her voice, no performance, just simple truth. Russell had been with women before. Brief encounters, awkward attempts, failures marked by silence and averted eyes. He'd learned to expect pain, both his and theirs, learned to prepare for the moment when desire transformed into obligation, then into rejection. This was different. Aveline worked with him, not against him. She adjusted her position, used her hands, stayed present. When something hurt, she said so. When something felt good, she said that too. They moved slow. Russell kept an iron grip on his control, let her set the pace, stopped when she needed to stop, and slowly, impossibly, it worked. Not perfectly, not easily, but enough. Enough that when Aveline gasped his name, it wasn't in pain. Enough that when Russell finally lost control, she held him through it, anchored him, kept him present. Enough that afterward, when they lay tangled in sheets that smelled like lavender and winter air and something new that belonged to both of them, Russell didn't feel the familiar weight of shame. He felt seen. Aveline traced patterns on his chest, her breathing evening out. The others didn't try. That's what made it impossible. Not you. Their fear. Russell caught her hand, pressed it against his heart. You shouldn't have had to try that hard. Anything worth having is worth working for. She yawned. Besides, I liked the challenge. He laughed. Actual laughter. Rough and surprised and real. You're extraordinary. I'm tired, she corrected, but she was smiling. And sore. You owe me a long bath and a back massage tomorrow. Tomorrow? If you want me to stay, do you? Russell pulled her closer, buried his face in her hair, and whispered against her temple. Stay. Please, stay. She didn't answer. He thought she'd fallen asleep. But just before he drifted off himself, warm and content for the first time in years, He felt her lips brush against his collarbone. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll stay." Russell slept holding her, his wolf finally quiet, finally satisfied, finally certain he'd found what he'd stopped believing existed. A mate who chose him, not despite what he was, because of it. Dawn came too quickly. Russell woke to cold sheets and fading scent. He sat up, heart hammering, looking around his chamber. Aveline's clothes were gone. Her bag was gone. She was gone. On the pillow beside him, written in shaky handwriting on a scrap of paper, "I'm sorry. I can't. Forgive me." Russell stared at the note until the words blurred. Then he stood, walked to the window, and watched the first light break over his kingdom, while something inside him broke along with it. She had chosen him, then she had left anyway. And Russell Cross, Alpha King, most powerful wolf in the realm, dropped to his knees and finally let himself shatter. Aveline ran. She ran through the castle corridors while the servants were still sleeping, her bag clutched to her chest, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst. She ran past the guards at the gate who knew her as temporary staff and didn't question why she left before dawn. She ran down the snow-covered roads leading away from the capital, away from the castle, away from the man whose scent still clung to her skin like a brand. She ran until her lungs screamed and her legs gave out, and then she collapsed against a tree on the side of the road and sobbed into her hands. It had been perfect. He had been perfect, and that was why she had to leave. The memory played behind her closed eyes. Not the intimacy, not the warmth of his bed or the way he'd held her after, like she was something precious he'd finally been allowed to keep. No, the memory that drove her into the freezing pre-dawn was what she'd heard 3 hours before Russell woke. She had risen quietly, careful not to disturb him, needing water and a moment to process what had happened. She'd wrapped herself in his shirt and padded barefoot toward the corridor, intending to find the washroom. That's when she heard the voices. 2 servants, speaking in harsh whispers near the stairs. "Did you see her go into his chambers last night?" The first voice belonged to Lorena McGraw, a laundry maid Aveline had worked alongside for the past week. "I saw." The second voice was Clara Turlow, older, more bitter. "Stupid girl. She doesn't understand what she's done. Maybe nothing happened. Don't be naive. We both know what happened. That temporary Omega spent the night in the Alpha King's bed, and now she's ruined." Aveline had frozen in the shadows, her stomach dropping. "Ruined how?" Lorena asked. "You think the council will accept her? She's nobody. Less than nobody. She has no family name, no political value, no education. She's a healer's temporary assistant who happened to be pretty enough to catch his eye." Clara's voice dripped with disdain. "The noble families tolerate the Alpha King's curse because he's powerful. But they won't tolerate him choosing a common Omega. They'll destroy her. That seems harsh." "Harsh? It's politics. Lady Lydia Bonner's family still has influence. So does Miranda Finch's. You think they'll stand by while some nobody takes what they failed to claim?" Clara laughed, cruel and sharp. "That girl will be lucky if she just gets exiled. More likely, she'll end up dead in a ditch somewhere, made to look like an accident. Surely the king would protect her. The king can't afford to. Not if he wants to keep his throne. The council already questions his fitness to rule. They say a king who can't secure a mate from his own class is weak. They'll use this girl to undermine him, force him to choose between her and his crown." Clara's voice softened with false sympathy. "Best thing that Omega could do is disappear before dawn. Save herself. Save him." Lorena had sighed. "I suppose you're right. I know I'm right. Come on. We have work to do." Their voices faded down the stairs. Aveline had stood frozen in the dark corridor, Russell's shirt hanging on her like a mockery. She had been foolish. She had let one night of feeling wanted override everything she knew about how power worked, about how people like her didn't end up with people like him without someone paying a terrible price. Russell would choose her. She knew that now, felt it in the way he'd held her, the way he'd whispered her name like a prayer. But choosing her would destroy him. The council would move against him. The noble families would unite in their outrage. His enemies would use her as proof of his unfitness to rule. And Aveline, she would die. Maybe not immediately, maybe not obviously, but Clara was right. Someone would arrange an accident, a fall, a fever, a robbery gone wrong. She would die, and Russell would blame himself, and the kingdom would fracture, all because she'd been selfish enough to stay one night. So she'd return to his chamber, memorized the peaceful expression on his sleeping face, written a note that explained nothing, and left before the sun could rise on the disaster she'd created. Now she sat on the side of the road, crying into hands that still smelled like him, hating herself for being a coward, but knowing cowardice was the only thing that might save them both. A cart rumbled past. The driver called out, asking if she needed help. Aveline wiped her face, shouldered her bag, and started walking. She walked south, away from the capital, away from the castle, away from everything. She walked until her feet bled, and the sun climbed high and cold overhead. She didn't know where she was going. She just knew she couldn't go back. Meanwhile, Russell Cross stood in his chamber. The note crumpled in his fist, and felt something dark and primal rise in his chest. His wolf, silent for hours, finally stirred. Find her. It wasn't a suggestion. Clyde Rufus appeared at his door, summoned by some instinct that told him his king was about to do something catastrophic. Your Majesty? The council is waiting. The trade negotiations with... Find her. Russell's voice came out rough, barely human. Find Aveline. Clyde's eyes widened. The healer's assistant? Now. Your Majesty, I don't understand. Russell spun, and Clyde took a step back at the look in his king's eyes. Not anger. Something worse. Something desperate. She left before dawn. She's on foot, probably heading south toward the lower villages. Find her. Bring her back. May I ask why? No. Russell moved past him toward the door. Mobilize the tracking unit. I want reports every hour. And Clyde? Tell the council I'm unavailable. For how long? Russell paused at the door, his hand on the frame. Until I find her. Your Majesty, this is irregular. The council will have questions. The noble families will... Let them question. Russell looked back, and his eyes were pure alpha now, gold and burning. I don't care about politics. I don't care about propriety. I care about one person, and she's out there alone, thinking she has to run to protect me. Clyde opened his mouth, then closed it. He'd served Russell for 8 years. He'd never heard his king's voice shake before. I'll mobilize the trackers, Clyde said quietly. And Your Majesty, the noble families won't like this. Good. Russell's smile was all teeth. They've disliked me for years anyway. Time I gave them a real reason. Within the hour, the castle was mobilized. Trackers spread across the southern roads. Guards questioned travelers. Messages flew to every village and outpost within a day's walk of the capital. And Russell Cross, Alpha King, abandoned his throne to hunt for the Omega who had given him one night of peace and then disappeared like smoke. The council convened an emergency session. Emmett Bonner, father of the rejected Lydia, stood first. This is unacceptable. The Alpha King abandons his duties for a common Omega? One who spent a single night in his bed and ran? Harlan Doolin, trade minister, nodded agreement. It makes him look weak, desperate. The other territories will sense instability. Rufus Haskins, cousin to Deborah and head of agricultural policy, cleared his throat. Perhaps we should consider the political implications of the king forming any attachment at this time. Given his history of being rejected by every suitable mate presented to him, Emmett's voice dripped with disdain. Now he chases after staff? This isn't strength, it's desperation. Clyde Rufus stood in the corner, silent, watching the council tear apart his king's choices. He thought about the look in Russell's eyes, the raw, undisguised need. He thought about 8 years of watching a good man rule perfectly while dying inside. The king has made his choice, Clyde said quietly. Our job is to serve him, not question him. Our job, Emmett corrected coldly, is to ensure the kingdom's stability. If the king prioritizes personal desire over political necessity, then we must act in the kingdom's best interest. I'm suggesting we prepare for contingencies. Emmett looked around the table. We all saw what happened with the noble matches. None of them worked. This Omega won't work either. And when it fails, when the king is humiliated yet again, we need to be ready to guide him back to sanity. The council murmured agreement. Clyde said nothing, but he sent a messenger south that night, warning Russell that the council was moving against him, not with swords, with politics, which was far more dangerous. Aveline made it to a village called Millbrook by nightfall. It was small, poor, the kind of place where no one asked questions as long as you worked hard and kept quiet. She found work at an inn, washing dishes and changing linens. The owner, a woman named Mabel Finch, took one look at Aveline's exhausted face and offered her a room in exchange for labor. "You running from something?" Mabel asked on the third day, while they scrubbed pots in the kitchen. "Someone," Aveline admitted quietly. "He hurt you?" "No," Aveline's voice cracked. "He was kind. That's worse." Mabel studied her with knowing eyes. "Kind men are the hardest to leave. I didn't have a choice." "We always have choices, girl. Question is whether we can live with the consequences." Aveline scrubbed harder, focusing on the pot until her vision blurred with tears. She'd made her choice. She'd live with it, even if it killed her. That night, lying in her small room above the inn, Aveline caught a scent on the wind that made her heart stop. Pine and winter frost, and underneath it, something wild and distinctly wolf. Russell. He was close. She sat up, mind racing. She should run again, disappear deeper into the countryside where even alpha senses couldn't track her, but her body wouldn't move. Part of her, the Omega part she'd been suppressing, wanted to be found, wanted to be claimed, wanted to go home to a place that had never truly been hers. Aveline pressed her face into her pillow and fought the instinct with everything she had. She'd left to save him. She had to stay gone. But the scent grew stronger through the night, and by dawn, Aveline knew Russell Cross was coming, and she didn't know if she had the strength to run again. Russell found her on the fourth day. Not through his trackers, not through systematic searching, through pure instinct, following a scent that pulled him south like a rope tied around his ribs. He rode alone, against every advisor's recommendation, left his guards at the previous village, dismissed his trackers after they confirmed she'd been seen in Millbrook. He needed to do this alone, face her alone, understand alone why she'd run. The inn was small, weather-worn, the kind of place where travelers passing through didn't linger. Russell dismounted, tied his horse, and stood in the street breathing in the morning air. There, lavender and winter air, and underneath it, the scent that had haunted him for 4 days straight. She was here. Russell pushed open the inn's door. A bell chimed. A woman behind the bar looked up, assessed him with the quick efficiency of someone who'd served every type of patron. "Help you?" "I'm looking for someone." A young woman, dark hair, gray eyes. She would have arrived 4 days ago. The woman's expression shuddered. "We get lots of travelers. Her name is Aveline. Don't know anyone by that name." Russell leaned against the bar, met the woman's eyes. "I'm not here to hurt her. I just need to talk to her. And I told you, I don't know anyone by that name. Mabel." Aveline's voice came from the kitchen doorway. Quiet, resigned. "It's fine." Russell turned. She stood in the doorway wearing a simple dress covered by an apron. Her hair pulled back, her hands still damp from washing dishes. She looked thinner than he remembered. Tired, beautiful in a way that made his chest ache. "Aveline." She didn't meet his eyes. "Your Majesty." The title cut worse than any blade. Mabel looked between them, understanding dawning. "Oh, could we have a moment?" Russell asked, still looking at Aveline. Mabel hesitated, then nodded. "I'll be in the back." "You need me, girl," you yell. Then they were alone in the empty common room. morning light slanting through dirty windows, 4 days of silence between them. "Why did you run?" Russell asked. Aveline wrapped her arms around herself. "You know why. Explain it to me anyway. Because staying would have destroyed you." She finally looked up, and her eyes were bright with unshed tears. "Because the council would have moved against you. Because the noble families would have united to remove me. Because I'm nobody and you're everything. And people like me don't get to keep people like you without someone paying in blood." Russell moved closer, slow, careful, like approaching something wounded. "So you decided for both of us." "I decided to save your throne. I don't want my throne without you." "Don't say that." Aveline backed up a step. "Don't say things like that. You're the Alpha King. You have responsibilities, a kingdom, people who depend on you, and I depend on you. You barely know me." "I know enough." Russell closed the distance between them. "I know you're brave and kind and honest. I know you see me instead of my title. I know you gave me one night of peace I haven't felt in years. I know I woke up reaching for you and found nothing, and it felt like dying." Aveline pressed her hands against his chest, not pushing, just resting there. "I heard them talking. Lorena and Clara. They said I'd be killed. They said the council would use me against you. They said what people always say when they want to keep someone in their place." Russell covered her hands with his. "But I don't care what they say. I care what you say, what you choose. I chose to leave. You chose to sacrifice yourself. That's different." He bent his head, breathing in her scent, letting it calm the wolf that had been raging since she disappeared. "I'm not asking you to come back to the castle. I'm not asking you to be my public mate if that terrifies you. I'm just asking you to stop running. Let me figure this out. Let me find a way to keep you safe while keeping you close." "There is no way." "Then we'll make one." Aveline shook her head, tears finally spilling over. "You don't understand. I'm not strong enough for this. I'm not brave enough to watch you choose between me and your kingdom. I'm not brave enough to be the reason you fall. You're the reason I'm standing." Russell cupped her face, made her look at him. "Every rejection, every failure, every night I spent alone wondering what was wrong with me, it all led to you. You didn't run because I'm too much. You stayed. You chose me. Do you understand how rare that is? How precious? Russell, I will burn my kingdom to ash before I let anyone hurt you. I will abdicate my throne. I will walk away from everything." His voice dropped to a whisper. "Just don't ask me to walk away from you. That's the one thing I can't do." Aveline sobbed once, then buried her face against his chest. Russell wrapped his arms around her, held her while she cried, felt his own control fracturing. "They'll never accept me," she whispered into his shirt. "They don't have to. I accept you. That's enough. The council can try to move against me. They'll fail." "You're so certain. I'm Alpha." Russell pulled back enough to look at her. "And you're my mate. They can accept that or challenge me directly. Either way, you're mine, and I'm keeping you." Aveline searched his face, looking for doubt, for hesitation. She found none. "I'm scared," she admitted. "I know. So am I. What if they hurt you because of me? What if living without you hurts worse?" She didn't have an answer for that. Russell pressed his forehead against hers. "Come back with me. Not to the castle, not yet. But come back. Let me find you somewhere safe. Let me figure out how to protect you while I deal with the council. Give me time to fix this. And if you can't, then we leave together. Go somewhere they can't touch us. Start over. You'd really do that? Leave your throne?" Russell smiled, sad and certain. "I've spent years building a kingdom. I don't want to spend the rest of my life ruling it alone. So yes, if it comes to that, I choose you." Aveline closed her eyes, made a decision that terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. Okay, I'll come back. But Russell?" She looked up at him. "If the council forces you to choose, you choose the kingdom. Promise me." "I won't promise that." Then I'm not coming." They stared at each other. Stubborn Omega, stubborn Alpha. Finally, Russell sighed. "I promise I'll consider all options before making any decisions. That's not what I asked for. It's all I can give." He kissed her forehead. "Now pack your things. We have a long ride ahead of us." Aveline went upstairs while Russell waited with Mabel, who studied him with sharp eyes. "You hurt that girl, and king or not, I'll come for you myself." Russell nodded. "Understood. She's special. Doesn't realize it, but she is." "I know." Mabel poured him a drink he didn't ask for. "The world ain't kind to women who reach above their station. You better be ready to fight for her." "I am." "Good." Mabel slid the drink across the bar. "Because she's already proven she'll sacrifice herself for you. Make sure you're worth it." Russell drank, the words settling heavy in his chest. When Aveline returned, bag packed, eyes red but resolute, he helped her onto his horse and climbed up behind her. They rode north as the sun climbed higher. Aveline leaned back against his chest, and Russell wrapped one arm around her waist, keeping her close. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Somewhere safe. My family has an estate 2 days north. Small, private. No one uses it anymore. You'll stay there while I sort out the council. And then we fight, together." Aveline was quiet for a long moment. Then, so softly he almost missed it, she whispered, "Thank you for coming after me." Russell pressed a kiss to the top of her head. "Always. No matter where you run, I'll always find you." They rode in silence after that, heading toward an uncertain future, but at least heading toward it together. Behind them, in the capital, the council convened again, and this time, their plans grew sharper, more dangerous, because Alpha King Russell Cross had made his choice clear. And some choices, in the eyes of power, could not be allowed to stand. The estate was exactly as Russell described it. Small stone house tucked into a forest clearing, surrounded by pines that whispered in the wind. A creek ran nearby, cold and clear. No servants, no guards, no witnesses, just them. Aveline stood in the doorway while Russell built a fire, watching him move through the space with practiced efficiency. Even here, dressed in traveling clothes instead of royal regalia, he moved like a king, confident, certain. But when he looked at her, something in his expression softened, made him just a man. "It's not much," he said, gesturing around the single-room house. "But it's secure, safe. No one knows about this place except Clyde and me. It's perfect." Russell smiled. "You're being kind." "I'm being honest." Aveline moved inside, set her bag down. "In my village, 3 families shared a house half this size. This feels like a palace." The fire caught, filling the room with warmth and flickering light. Evening was falling fast, shadows lengthening across the floor. Russell stood, brushed off his hands. "I need to return to the capital tomorrow. Handle the council. It might take a few days." Aveline's stomach dropped. "You're leaving? Not for long. And you'll be safe here. The forest is private land. No one comes through without permission." "What about food? Supplies?" "There's a smokehouse out back, fully stocked. A well for water. Firewood stored in the shed. You'll have everything you need." He moved closer, touched her face. "I don't want to leave you, but I have to face this directly. Settle it before the council forces my hand." "What if they don't settle? What if they demand you send me away?" Russell's expression hardened. "Then I make good on my promise. We leave together." "Russell." "I mean it, Aveline. I've spent 8 years being the perfect king, following every rule, meeting every expectation, and it left me hollow, empty." He pulled her close. "I'm not doing that anymore. Not for them. Not for anyone." Aveline pressed her face against his chest, listened to his heartbeat, strong and steady. "I'm afraid. So am I. What if loving me costs you everything? What if loving you is the only thing that matters?" They stood like that as the fire burned and night fell completely. Then Aveline pulled back, looked up at him with clear eyes. "Stay tonight. Leave at dawn. But tonight, stay with me." Russell nodded. They ate simple food from the smokehouse, bread and cheese and dried meat. They talked quietly about nothing important. Childhood stories, favorite seasons, small memories that felt enormous in the intimacy of firelight. When the fire burned low, Russell added more wood. When Aveline shivered, he wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. When she reached for him, he came willingly. They made love slower this time. No urgency, no fear of discovery, just two people choosing each other in a place where the rest of the world couldn't reach them. Afterward, lying tangled together in the narrow bed, Aveline traced patterns on Russell's chest. "Tell me something true," she whispered. He smiled at the echo of their first real conversation. "I'm terrified of losing you. That's obvious. Tell me something I don't know." Russell was quiet for a long moment. "When Lydia rejected me, I told myself it was her weakness. When Miranda left, I blamed her expectations. When Pamela ran, I convinced myself she was too fragile." He paused, but every rejection carved deeper. "And eventually I stopped blaming them and started believing the problem was me, that I was too much, too difficult, too cursed to ever be wanted." Aveline's hand stilled. "Russell, you changed that. One night, you saw me at my worst and didn't run. You worked with me instead of against me. You chose to try." His voice cracked slightly. "Do you understand what that did to me? How it felt to finally be chosen instead of tolerated? I didn't do anything special. You did everything." He caught her hand, pressed it over his heart. "You gave me hope, and now I'm addicted to it. Addicted to you. If the council forces my hand, if they make me choose between crown and mate, I choose you, every time, without hesitation." Aveline felt tears burn her eyes. "You can't mean that. Watch me." She believed him. That was the terrifying part. She believed he would burn his entire kingdom down if it meant keeping her safe. "Don't let it come to that," she whispered. "Please, find another way. I'll try. Promise me. I promise I'll exhaust every option before making that choice." He kissed her forehead. "But Aveline, understand this. If it comes down to you or the throne, I will kneel. I will walk away. I will become nothing if it means keeping you. You could never be nothing. Then neither could you." They slept fitfully, holding each other too tight, both dreading the dawn. When morning came, gray and cold, Russell dressed in silence while Aveline watched from the bed. 3 days, he said, strapping on his sword. "I'll be back in 3 days. If I'm not back by the 4th day, don't. If I'm not back, assume the worst. Take the horse, ride west. There's a village called Greenhaven across the border. Ask for Winnie Cross. She's my aunt, though she doesn't use the title. She'll help you disappear." Russell, stop. He knelt beside the bed, took her hands. "I need you to promise me. If something happens, you run. You save yourself. Nothing's going to happen. Promise me anyway." Aveline gripped his hands hard enough to hurt. "I promise. But you promise me something too. Come back. Whatever the council says, whatever threats they make, you come back to me. I will." He kissed her, deep, desperate, a kiss that felt like a vow and a goodbye. Then he was gone, and Aveline was alone in the small stone house, with nothing but silence and fear for company. Russell rode hard toward the capital, his wolf restless beneath his skin. He knew what was coming, knew the council would demand answers, would question his fitness, would try to force his hand. Let them try. He'd spent years being the perfect king, controlled, measured, always putting the kingdom first. But Aveline had changed something fundamental in him. She'd reminded him he was more than a crown, more than a title, more than his curse. He was a man. And he'd finally found someone who loved the man instead of fearing the king. The council could accept that, or they could face the consequences. When Russell reached the castle gates, Clyde was waiting. Your Majesty, the council convened an emergency session this morning. Without me, they claim you've been unavailable for too long. They're discussing succession. Russell's hands tightened on the reins. Succession. Emmett Bonner is leading the charge. He's arguing that a king who abandons his throne for a common Omega lacks the judgment necessary to rule. And the others? Clyde's expression was grim. Split. Some agree. Some are undecided. Harlan Doolan and Rufus Haskins are staying neutral, waiting to see which way power falls. Cowards. Politicians. Clyde helped Russell dismount. What's your move? Russell looked up at his castle. His kingdom. Everything he'd built and protected and sacrificed for. Then he thought about Aveline alone in the forest house, terrified and brave. I confront them, all of them, and I make them understand that I'm not asking permission. Your Majesty, if you push too hard, then they'll have to remove me by force. Russell's smile was all wolf. Let's see if they have the courage. The throne room was packed when Russell entered. The entire council sat in their elevated seats. Noble families filled the galleries. Servants pressed against the walls, desperate to witness whatever was about to unfold. Emmett Bonner stood as Russell approached the throne. Your Majesty, how gracious of you to join us. Russell didn't sit. He stood before his throne, facing the council directly. I understand you have concerns. Concerns? Emmett's voice dripped with disdain. Your Majesty disappears for nearly a week, chasing after a common Omega who spent one night in your bed and fled in shame. You abandon your responsibilities, ignore your advisors, and return expecting us to simply accept this behavior? Yes. The room went silent. Emmett blinked. Your Majesty, I expect you to accept it, because what I do with my personal life is none of your concern. Your personal life affects the kingdom. Then perhaps the kingdom should adjust its expectations. Russell's voice was calm, cold, absolute. I've spent 8 years meeting every demand placed on me, fighting your wars, signing your treaties, accepting your noble daughters as potential mates despite knowing none of them would stay. I'm not finished. The alpha command in Russell's voice made several people flinch. You all knew about my curse. You knew no noble match would work. You presented them anyway because it looked good politically. You used my body as entertainment, as scandal, as something to whisper about in corridors. Emmett's face reddened. How dare! I dare because I'm done. Russell moved down from the throne platform, walked directly toward Emmett. I found someone who doesn't care about my curse. Someone who chose me despite knowing everything. Someone who makes me better. And you want me to reject her because she lacks a noble surname. She's nobody. She's everything. Russell's voice echoed through the throne room. And I will not sacrifice her to preserve your delicate sense of propriety. Harlan Doolan stood. Your Majesty, please understand our position. The kingdom needs stability. A common Omega as queen would. I haven't named her queen. That stopped everyone. Russell turned, addressed the entire room. I haven't made any formal declarations. I haven't asked the council for approval. I simply found someone who matters to me, and I refuse to let your politics destroy that. If you want to remove me from the throne over this, then do it. Challenge me directly. Let's settle this the old way. The old way meant trial by combat, alpha against alpha. No one moved. Russell smiled grimly. That's what I thought. None of you have the strength to take this throne by force, which means you need me more than I need you. He looked at Emmett. So here's what's going to happen. You will leave Aveline alone. You will not threaten her. You will not use her against me. You will not spread rumors or arrange accidents or interfere in any way. And if we refuse? Emmett asked coldly. Russell's eyes flashed gold. Then I walk away. I abdicate. And you can try ruling this kingdom without an alpha to hold it together. See how long that lasts. The threat hung in the air like a blade. Rufus Haskins cleared his throat. Your Majesty, perhaps we can reach a compromise. The Omega could remain under your protection, but unofficially. not publicly acknowledged. That way. No. Russell's voice was flat. I'm done hiding, done pretending. Aveline is mine. That doesn't require your approval. The noble families will never accept. Then they'll learn to live with disappointment. Russell turned back toward his throne. This council is dismissed. I'll hear no more discussion on this matter. No one moved. Russell sat on his throne, looked out over the assembled nobility, and felt something settle in his chest. Peace. He'd chosen. Finally, completely, without compromise. And if it cost him his crown, so be it. But as the council slowly dispersed, shooting him looks of anger and calculation and fear, Russell knew this wasn't over. They would regroup, strategize, find a way to force his hand. He had 3 days before he was supposed to return to Aveline. He would use every second to make sure she stayed safe, even if it meant sacrificing everything else. Aveline lasted 2 days alone before the fear became unbearable. She tried to stay busy, cleaned the house, cooked simple meals, walked the forest paths, practiced the breathing exercises her mother taught her when anxiety threatened to swallow her whole. None of it helped. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow looked like a threat. She kept imagining council soldiers crashing through the door, dragging her back to the Capitol in chains. Or worse, Russell not coming back at all. On the third morning, she woke to the sound of hoofbeats. Her heart leaped. Russell. He'd come back early, but when she opened the door, it wasn't Russell on the path. It was 3 riders, well-dressed, armed, their faces unfamiliar but their bearing unmistakable. Nobility. Aveline stepped back into the house, her instincts screaming. The lead rider dismounted. He was older, gray-haired, his face carved by years of authority and arrogance. Emmett Bonner. She recognized him from castle dinners, though they'd never spoken. You're Aveline, he said. Not a question. She didn't answer. I'm Emmett Bonner, head of the King's Council. We need to talk. The king told me to stay here. I'm following his instructions. The king's instructions are about to cost him his throne. Emmett moved closer to the doorway. May I come in? No, he smiled, cold, calculated. Smart girl, but I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to offer you a choice. I don't want anything from you. You'll want this. Emmett gestured to one of his companions, who dismounted and retrieved a leather satchel. 10,000 gold pieces. A letter of passage to any territory you choose. New identity papers. Everything you need to disappear and start over somewhere the Alpha King's reach can't touch you. Aveline stared at the satchel. You're bribing me to leave. I'm offering you a future. Russell Cross is a good king, but his obsession with you is destroying his political capital. The noble families are turning against him. The council is fractured. If this continues, there will be a challenge. He'll be forced to defend his throne by combat, and even if he wins, the kingdom will be weakened. So you want me to run again? I want you to think clearly. Emmett's voice softened slightly. You care about him. I can see that. So ask yourself what's better for him. You staying and watching him lose everything? Or you disappearing so he can rebuild what you've damaged? The words hit like physical blows. I didn't damage anything, Aveline said, but her voice shook. Didn't you? He abandoned his throne for you. He threatened his council for you. He's prepared to abdicate for you. Emmett shook his head. That's not love. That's obsession. And obsession destroys. Aveline gripped the doorframe. He chose me. That's his right. And we're choosing to remove the problem before it becomes unsalvageable. Emmett's eyes hardened. You have 3 choices, Aveline. Take the gold and disappear. Stay and watch Russell lose his crown defending you. Or, he paused. There's a third option, but I don't think you want to hear it. Say it. You could have an accident. Simple, clean, tragic. The king mourns, but he keeps his throne. The kingdom stabilizes. Aveline felt cold all over. You're threatening to kill me. I'm explaining consequences. Emmett picked up the satchel, held it out. 10,000 gold. A new life. No one dies. No one loses anything except the illusion that this could ever work. Take it. Be smart. Aveline looked at the satchel, at the gold that represented more money than she'd ever seen. She thought about Russell kneeling before her, promising to choose her, swearing he'd burn his kingdom down before letting her go. She thought about Clara and Lorena's conversation, about politics and power and how people like her always paid the price. She thought about her mother, dying alone while the world moved on without noticing. "No," Aveline said quietly. Emmett's expression hardened. "Think carefully." I said, "No, you're choosing death. I'm choosing Russell." Aveline stepped back, hand on the door. "Now get off this property before I scream loud enough that every wolf in this forest comes running." Emmett stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Brave. Stupid, but brave. He tossed the satchel at her feet. "The gold stays. When you change your mind, use it. Run fast and far, because what's coming next won't be clean." He remounted, gestured to his companions. They rode away, leaving Aveline standing in the doorway with a satchel of gold at her feet and terror clawing at her throat. Russell returned on the 4th day. He rode hard, pushing his horse past exhaustion, driven by instinct that screamed something was wrong. When he reached the forest house and saw Aveline standing in the doorway, alive and whole, the relief nearly buckled his knees. Then he saw her face. What happened? Aveline stepped aside, let him enter. The satchel of gold sat on the table, untouched. Russell stared at it, then at her. Understanding crashed over him like a wave. "They came here, Emmett Bonner, 3 days ago, and he offered you that to leave." "Yes." Russell felt rage ignite in his chest, hot and vicious. "Did he threaten you?" "He gave me options. Money, passage, or death." The rage exploded. Russell spun toward the door, fully prepared to ride back to the capital and tear Emmett apart with his bare hands. Aveline grabbed his arm. "Don't. He threatened you." And I said no. She pulled him back, forced him to look at her. "I said no to the money. No to running. I chose you." Again. "But Russell, this is what I was afraid of. This is what happens when you're with someone like me. This is what happens when the council oversteps." Russell cupped her face. "I'm going to destroy him. I'm going to stand before the entire court and challenge, and they'll call it proof you're unfit to rule." Aveline's voice cracked. "They'll say you're unstable, obsessed. They'll use it to justify removing you. I don't care. I care." She pulled away, paced the small room. "I care because you're a good king. Because people need you. Because burning your kingdom for me is romantic in stories, but devastating in reality." Russell caught her shoulders, turned her to face him. "Then what do you want me to do? Accept that they threatened you? Let them win? I want you to think strategically instead of emotionally." "I can't think strategically about you. I can only feel." Aveline closed her eyes. "Then maybe that's the problem." The words hung between them like broken glass. "What are you saying?" Russell asked quietly. "I'm saying maybe Emmett is right. Maybe this is obsession, not love. Maybe we met at the wrong time, in the wrong circumstances, and we're both so desperate for connection that we're calling it fate." "You don't believe that?" "I don't know what I believe anymore." Aveline's composure shattered. "All I know is that loving you is becoming dangerous. For both of us. And I don't know how to fix that." Russell pulled her close, felt her shaking against him. "We fight. That's how we fix it. We fight together until they accept it, or we leave together and build something new. And if we're wrong, if this destroys you, then I'll be destroyed loving you instead of preserved ruling alone. I'll take that trade." Aveline sobbed once against his chest. "You're impossible. And you're mine." He tilted her face up.